We are back here on Girl Talk, and yes, I am at Custom Audio Video with my favorite person, Sean Stewart. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
It's so good. Even though he did try to lock me out when I came in. Haha, those guys, you guys are so
fun.
I know, every now and then. I tell you what, I'm excited to talk to you today, although I have to tell you, I think that's why you locked me out. I'm intimidated. I don't know what streaming is. And I think today you had a lot that you wanted to talk about as far as streaming. Share with us what you're going to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, so streaming is becoming more and more popular, and it's one of those terms that we hear all over the place. And, you know, a lot of people may go, I should know what it is, but at this point I'm afraid to ask.
Exactly.
Right? And maybe this will help a little bit. So the whole idea of streaming is getting content over the internet.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
So pretty simple. Like if you watch YouTube, technically you are streaming a YouTube video.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
So
with my Alexa, I am theoretically streaming music.
Exactly, yeah. If you tell it to start playing something and it picks up from Pandora or Spotify or whatever service, you're streaming that music in.
Got it.
All right. So instead of having it stored somewhere, it's streaming over the internet into play.
So how does that affect what you do? Why is it so important that we're even talking about it?
Yeah, so I mean, the two biggest ways to stream are definitely audio and video, which fits right into the whole custom audio video thing that we do.
Right.
But then there's a lot more to it as well. There's the networking that needs to go with it. Because it is internet-based, you have to have strong network to be able to do it.
So keep going.
Yeah. So I mean, let's look. You can kind of see on the TV here, right?
Yes.
Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, all those things are streaming. Right, particularly if you have a family and you got a lot of people doing it at once. Kids in one room watching TV, mom's watching on a tablet, dad's somewhere else, teenagers watching on their TV.
Yeah.
And you got all these streams that are pulling your internet service. Well, if you don't have good connectivity across the house or good strong bandwidth from a Hargray or Spectrum, you're not going to be able to get good quality streams on all those devices at once.
So what are some of the solutions? And the other question is, how would I even know that? Would I be getting buffering or whatever it is?
Exactly, yeah. Buffering is going to be one issue, right? Where you're just not going to, or that really grainy look.
Yes.
Right? We know when like the resolution drops on a picture.
Okay.
Right? You can just go like, oh, it's blurry. So that's one, those are the two big ways. And really, you kind of got to know where your internet's coming from. So if you just got kind of that basic setup from your service provider.
Sure.
You got one router, you probably don't like the way that it's looked, so you've stuffed it in a cabinet somewhere.
Right.
And then you're on the other side of the house trying to stream, it's just not going to work well.
So help us. I mean, this is you love this kind of talk, because this is technical talk. So what do we need to do? How can you all help us through this dilemma?
Yeah, so we like to help build robust networks, is what we like to say.
I love that word,
right?
yeah.
And there's all kinds of ways to do that, but essentially, our needs for internet have grown past the idea of having one central point in your home where all of your internet connectivity is coming from. So when we look at networks, we tend to have where everything comes into the house and then access points throughout the house.
Okay.
So multiple places in the house that have devices that are all talking to each other. So that as you move from the living room to the kitchen to the bedroom to the bonus room over the garage, all of those places are going to have good, solid internet connectivity.
So practically speaking, what does that look like for me as a client coming here? Do I come in and say, I want to build a more robust networking platform for everything I have, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, so that's part of what we might talk about, but generally it's, hey, I'm having really big issues with my internet connectivity. I can't get anything when I'm in the bedroom. Okay. And then we dive into it a lot, and generally what we find is you got that Hargray router that they gave you. Yep. Which works for a small place. Sure. But it's like, hey, we've got 3,000 square feet we're trying to cover. Right. That's just not going to work.
So what do you do? What can you all do?
So we have different types of equipment, and it depends on the home, any kind of wiring that's in the home, any kind of ability to run new wires. Okay. If we can wire an access point. So you get that central point that everything runs to. Yep. We've got an access point that's over the bonus room over the garage. Okay. Right? Well, if we can get a wire from here to there, it's going to make that service so much better up there. If we can't, there's other solutions for that. That's maybe not as great, but still much better than not having something there. So it really depends on the home, what's already in the walls, and then what we can do.
So does the way that happen is literally would I call and say, can you come out and just do a walkthrough, do an assessment, help me determine my needs and then give me the options?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's our process. We love, kind of getting some information first, and kind of talking through and just trying to figure out what they've got, where they are, kind of that initial step, and then we set up a time to get one of our designers to come out and walk the space, because they're going to be looking for things like what the home's design is, right? What it's made out of. Yeah, older homes, the walls, the windows, those kind of things can affect signal. But then also, is there crawl space? Is there attic space that we can then do work in if we need to run wire?
So are you running wire on the main system, or are you adding ancillary systems, or is that even not the right way to phrase that?
Well, so if you think about it, you've got a wire coming from, say, Hargray or Spectrum into your home.
Got it.
The most basic way is one spot. It's coming to your home probably in one spot.
Yes.
You may have cables split throughout, right, for cable TV.
Okay, got it.
That nobody's using really much anymore.
Correct. Okay.
We're doing essentially the same thing.
Okay.
Instead of having coaxial for cable signal everywhere, if you've gotten it already, or there's room to run more cable,
all right.
We're running category cable, which is going to be for data, for network, for internet.
So we're talking, for me anyway, I'm talking a lot about TV, but you're really talking about not just my television system, but my audio system too.
Right.
Share with us a little bit about how that all coordinates together.
Yeah, I mean, so you mentioned it earlier, right? Alexa, play this.
Yes.
And it's going to play music, same thing. And there's all kinds of services that we use. Pandora, we stream Sirius, we stream Spotify. And there's some higher end ones for more fancy sound systems, right? With a higher quality music. Tidal, for instance, maybe a lot of people have heard, where you're streaming music.
Got it.
Music is less data than video, right? There's less information, of course. So it's not as network intensive, but you still do need good solid connection to your speakers or however you're doing it. So oftentimes it's coming from a phone that's kind of the controller, and you're telling some other device on your network, go get this song and play it through these speakers. And that's all happening on your network. And with a network that's not strong, not designed well, you're going to have some issues.
This is so interesting, and I know we've only got about 30 seconds left, but actually talking about something like this, you make it really user-friendly. I think I tell you this all the time, because I think if I don't really understand, surely there's someone else who's can be a little confused, overwhelmed, or mystified.
Yeah.
So I thank you, Sean, for joining us. We want to thank all of you for joining us here on Girl Talk. Have a safe and wonderful week. Bye-bye.